Hi, friends. Hello, in the world. Welcome back to this episode of Complaint Free Life. I'm your host, Solar Modava, recording this in the evening, but I hope that you can still see me and hear me well and hear my message. So, today is a very special topic because I have been studying myself so intimately, closely for a month. Well, actually, for 3 months, I should say, and finding out how and why and all the things of what happens within me and how it happens and all of this. So the topic that I want to talk to you today about is self-pity as a comfort zone. And I've talked about self-pity in the past in different ways, but this time I really want to report to you, so to say, of all the observations, all the documentation of what has happened, how it has happened, and why, and what I did to remove myself or get out of this. So, if you are familiar with my work at all and my story of who I am and where I come from, you will have probably heard many times of how I have overcome so many difficult situations in life. Some of them like violence, some of them is um, uh, burnout, depression, and all of these things. I have been able to overcome, heal, go through a lot of these situations in life. And I have always felt like I have overcome so many of them, but self-pity was the one that I felt like is not quite there, meaning that I tend to get it very often, especially if I don't achieve my goals or if I don't achieve the things that I want to achieve. If I plan something and it doesn't go the way I want to, then self-pity comes up. And the way that it always comes up in my story is it's something like, poor me, it's not working, it's not gonna work, or I didn't make it happen, I barely making this happening, or it didn't go the way I want to, and then stay in this self-pity feeling of what's the point of doing it? Why bother? It's all not going to work anyway, and then just stay in that state or in that feeling, right? And this, I have noticed it so often in so many different ways, but lately I took myself like seriously and say, okay, I want to find out why I'm doing it, how it's showing up, and I really want to find out what I can do in that moment when it's showing up. And after observing meticulously all the thoughts and all of this, I have realized this, the conclusion or the main finding, so to say, of studying myself on self-pity, the main finding I have finally found actually today. So that's why I wanted to record it. Today is Wednesday, and I wanted to record it while I'm still fresh on it. And what I found out is that self-pity has become a comfort zone for me. And it's like crazy to think about it because especially I always notice that this is happening and I don't want this to be happening, but it's still my brain keeps offering this to me. And today I have finally came to conclusion that self-pity has become like a very comfortable zone that my brain just goes into. Like it's like a default parking place or default stopping place, right? It's a place that my brain wants me to go and then just stay there instead of going and pursuing what I really want, or instead of finishing the goal or wanting to get the things the way that I want to. My brain just wants me to just stay in that mode so that I don't move forward, I don't do all the things, and then I just soak up in my own self-pity story. Do you see what I'm saying? So I once I have realized because the the questions that I've been asking and the questions that my coaches that I work with, my amazing coaches, they have been asking me. So the main question that I have asked is why my brain wants to do this, right? Why my brain wants to keep me in the self-pity, basically. And some of the revelations that I have realized is because my brain does not really want me to be as successful as my conscious brain wants me to, because I think I'm in some ways afraid of what success means and how it means, and I would be seen, and I don't want to be seen unconsciously, right? So that's why I think big part of it is that me not wanting to basically be the person who I want to be, and achieving the goals that I want to achieve, and getting to the places that I want to, and my conscious brain really wants that and keep creating that possibilities, while my unconscious brain is like, it means scary, it means everyone will see, and I don't want to be seen in whatever the ways that I'm interpreting the words being seen. And therefore my brain just wants to keep me safe in the place of self-pity, because what self-pity often does to me is that it doesn't allow me to do anything. It just wants me to stay in comfort, cuddling up and watching TV and watching like things that in the end I don't really enjoy it either, but it's still better than doing something and moving forward, right? So that's why I once I realized that my brain has created this self-pity platform for me to just hang out and do nothing else, so that I don't achieve all the goals that I want to. And the other reason why it does it is because obviously um, beyond like being successful, the other reason is me not feeling safe being successful, right? So in some ways that my brain is interpreting that this is not good, or this is huge, or in some ways that maybe some other subconscious messages from my childhood are coming up of you're not worthy, or you're not deserving, or whatever the messages that I'm not even aware of consciously, but maybe they're also there. And the other one is also the huge belief that I have worked through so much, but one of the beliefs that I had that came up was um, everything is supposed to be hard, right? So this is, I think, one of the biggest beliefs that I had difficulty working around and going through. And I thought that I have finally worked through it, but then I realized that one of the big reasons why this self-pity pool exists, or the self-pity platform exists, is because my brain inherently keeps looking for evidence as to how it's hard. And whenever my brain unconsciously obviously thinks that it's not enough, it's not hard enough, then it wants to create other stories around self-pity, so that I just hang out there, and then it just then feels like it's so hard to go and move forward, and therefore I just keep staying there. And even if I go move forward and do other things, then my brain will be reminding me next time when I set a goal. My brain will be saying like, well, you remember last time it was so difficult, so this time you better don't set the big goal, so you set the same goal. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why realizing this, if you are in the same place of, noticing yourself, how you like just want to be comforted, how you want to be told for you how difficult this is for you, how you should be pitied, or how you should be just treated like you need all the comfort in the world and you don't need anything else. If you keep finding yourself in that mode, then you might be like, it might be time for you to get curious as to why you keep doing that to yourself, right? Because don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the self-care part where we are tired and physically and emotionally, and we want to take time and rest and feel all the feelings and allow all the feelings, and taking care of ourselves. That's very different than the self-pity where it has a very like negative, very pulling down energy of poor you, you shouldn't be suffering this, or you shouldn't be going this. How could you be going this? Everyone else is in the world is like not understanding of your situation. This type of self-pity I'm talking about, right? So it's important that you don't misunderstand me, where me saying that don't take care of yourself, do take care of yourself, and it's important, and I always talk about it. But this self-pity is a different type, where our brains keep telling us that you can't really go to those goals you want to, you can't really make that project successful, you can't really do that task well because, well, what's the point? It's not going to work anyway. You tried everything, no one's supporting you, poor you, no one understands you, kind of this place, right? So if you are in that place, and if you find yourself in that place, just notice that maybe this is the same thing that I'm describing to you happens to you as well, where your brain accidentally or conveniently maybe is using it as a comfort zone, and it doesn't want you to get out of it, because getting out of it means that you will be seen, you will be accomplishing things, you will be feeling great about yourself, being successful, and maybe your brain is afraid of that success, or afraid of what other people are going to say about this, or what the responsibilities it will bring, even though maybe you're not really doing it consciously, but maybe unconsciously this might be happening to you. So you may want to get curious about your own brain as to why you do that, why you keep going to that default of poor me, this is happening to me, and I didn't really want to, and I don't know what to do kind of a place, right? Because the reason why I really wanted to investigate this within myself is because I really genuinely, truly believe that we human beings have so much capacity, so much wisdom, so much abilities and tools within us that we can use to really be the person we want to, really make the difference we want to, really help the people that we want to, and help them in the way that we're not coming there exhausted and just getting things over with, but rather we're coming there with full attention, with full willingness to help them, to be there for them, to do everything that's needed from us to help and serve the people that we really want to. I really believe that we all have that capacity and ability within us, the power within us to do that. But I also have noticed, I have been observing from myself, as I said, that this um, self-pity type of dialogue, or self-pity type of like a comfort zone that is created within my brain, within my mindset, that just keeps me in that place and does not want me to grow and become the showing and shining that masterpiece that we all have within, like I talked about in the other episode, right? So that's why I really wanted to get curious and find out why that's happening. And just to wrap up, the reason why it was happening is because that feels comfortable, and going out of that means that we will be seen, we will be achieving things, we will be successful, we will be getting what we want to, and our brains just believe that it's hard, it's difficult, it's not possible, or it's just not meant to be, or whatever the things that unconsciously we have been programmed to believe, and therefore we don't want to move on, even though consciously maybe we're wanting to move on, but unconsciously we're not feeling safe being seen and shining our masterpiece, and therefore our brains conveniently want us to be in that comfort zone. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Now that we know, at least from my study of myself meticulously lately with my different coaches, we now want to explore how not to make this a recurring theme anymore. And even if it's happening again and again, we at least know what to do about it, right? So I'm always interested in not so much how it keeps happening, but rather what we can do about it if it keeps happening, right? So this is more what I'm interested in. So that's why I understand that my brain might be doing its brain function of being scared and being not safe, and especially continuing the old programming and then not letting the upgrade to take its place. I understand that my brain might be doing that or continue doing that in the future, but I'm more interested in what I'm going to do when that happens, right? So that's why these are the things. If you are in a similar situation that I am, and if you also find yourself in that place and you don't want to be in that place anymore, then here are the things that I highly suggest you do. And of course, get coaching. So I'm just saying it's like one of the best ways that I find out so much about my own brain is by me getting coached. So that's why I highly recommend it. So here are the things that you can do yourself and find out how the results are for you, right? So first and foremost, obviously, not judging it, not making like, oh my God, something is wrong. It shouldn't be happening. I can't be feeling this. I can't be thinking this or whatever, whatever. Don't do any of that, because layering it with other feelings and shoving it away won't help. Like shying away from it won't help either. So that's why we want to actually create even more comfort for us to find out what's really going on. So that's why first thing is first, self-compassion, self-love, and just allowing this brain to come out in its shining version of showing all the self-pity thoughts of poor me, this is happening to me, I can't believe it, and all of these things coming out. And we want them like we want to have this all in the open, right? Not in the hiding, all in the open, in our own brains, obviously. I mean, for ourselves. I'm not suggesting that you go and, share with everyone in the world. If if you want to, of course you can do that, but you can have this conversation or this observation within your own brain. So once you get yourself compassionate and understanding and have a look at this, and then once you look at all of these things, before you dive into um, why it's happening, even though you can do that, but before you get into that, I really highly suggest you to think about how your brain thinks this is useful, right? Because obviously our brains think that self-pity is a useful thing to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it, because our brains inherently always do things because it finds it useful, it saves a lot of energy, or it does things in the way that doesn't waste energy, right? So that's why knowing all of that, then obviously our brains think that this is useful. So if that's the case, then get curious as to what is its use, right? Why we think it's useful. And then you can find out that it's useful because it stops you, right? It's useful because it doesn't allow you to continue pursuing what you're pursuing. It keeps you busy indulging in your own thinking and in your own ego, that you don't get to help the people you want to. You don't get to serve the people in the way you want to. And therefore, your brain will go even more to the comfort zone of, you see, you weren't able to do this, you weren't able to do that, and then continue layering that original self-pity with other self-pity, and then it will just keep growing and growing to the point where we will then start believing that we can't be helped. This is how bad it is, it's unfair, and all of the things. So that's why once you realize the use of it is why your brain is doing this, like unconsciously, if not consciously, right? Why you're doing it, then you realize also where it's coming from usually, right? Because I always find out like where it's coming from based on the use that my brain thinks this is useful. Because maybe back in the day when I was programmed by my parents, by other adults around me as a child, maybe this was a useful place for me to get what I wanted, right? Or to get compassion from others when I felt like I wasn't loved. Or maybe there were other uses that I don't even know now. But I know that my brain came to think about myself in this way of this is useful. So once I know why my brain thinks it's useful and where it's coming from, and if you can't find where it's coming from, it's fine as well, because what we really want to do is getting curious as to what we want to do about it if it occurs, and also try to not make it a recurring thing, but even then, if it recurs, we know what to do about it, right? So once we know what's its use, then we are like, we can ask the question of, do we really want to be the person who stays in the self-pity and does not help the people that we want to, right? Do we really want to be the people who are so busy with our own things that we don't get to help the people in the best way that we know how? And my answer to that question was like, no, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person who just stays in this self-pity comfort zone of, oh my God, why is it and how it is and all the things, and not get to help the people that I want to help, or bring awareness to the people that I really want to bring awareness to, right? So that's why once I notice how my brain thinks it's useful, then I tell myself, is that really how I want to be spending my time, how I want to be doing my work, how I want to be really going after what I want? No, I don't want to do that. So then the next question is, okay, how else do I want to then come out of this self-pity? For instance, for me, it helps to think about the people that I want to help. So how can I do that in the way that my self-pity doesn't get in the way, right? Or I can even think about, okay, how can I help my people to realize how their self-pity might be getting in their own way of being the best versions of themselves, or helping the people they want to help, and not wasting brain energy, precious brain energy, on things that in the end we know that are not really useful, right? So that's why I really would love for you to try this out of first having compassion and understanding for yourself and getting all the self-pity thoughts out, and then observing them, and then asking yourself third, right? Asking yourself the question of, what do you think the use of this is according to your brain, right? Why your brain thinks it's useful. And then you can also find out fourth about where it's coming from and why you have adopted it, just so that you know where the source might be, and also how, like, have more compassion for yourself as to how this might have been your programming before and how you want to change it. And then ask yourself or fifth, sorry, ask yourself fifth is, do you really want to be busy with your self-pity and not help the people in the way that you want to, right? Do you really want to be the person who is so self-involved or self-centered, or I don't know, whatever the way, even though I really want you to not to have the judgment around it, but do you really want to be sitting with the self-pity of how and why, instead going for trusting yourself, doing your best anyway, and going to help the people that you really want to help, or doing the things that you really want to do, or achieving the goals that you really want to achieve? And then let your fears and all the things come out as to how successful you are and how you're seen and how you might be afraid of judgments of other people, or whatever the things that will come out later. you can let that happen, let that come out, and then you can deal with it afterwards. Okay, my dears, I hope that I was able to convey my message of what I have observed within me, what I have been observing within me, and how I came out of this with my own tools and with coaching. And I would love for you to coach yourself or get coached by me so that you can really see for yourself how some of the things that you actually don't want to have might be your comfort zone and your brain does not want to come out of it because your brain is afraid or might be afraid of other things that's happening if you decide to not be in that comfort zone anymore. Okay? Have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you next week.